All right, hello, I'm Saulnier Lange, the online learning librarian at WSU, and we are going to be going over 5 different databases today. Let me share my screen. And these are going to be really helpful for you when you're doing research. The 5 databases that we'll be covering are Gale and Context, Opposing Viewpoints, Academic Search Complete, JSTOR, PsycInfo, and Web of Science. So first things first, what is a database? A database is basically just an organized system of information. And since databases organize and store information, you can think of them like a filing cabinet. If the database is a filing cabinet, the folders within the filing cabinet are the journals, and the papers within the folders are the articles that are published in the journals. Our databases at WSU hold resources like books, scholarly articles, newspaper articles, images, statistics, and more. So you're probably wondering, why would you want to use databases when Google exists? Google can be great. It's the first place I go when I'm researching a topic that I don't know a lot about. However, the information you find in Google is not always credible. You may find some good information, but it takes a lot of work to make sure that the information you're finding is of good quality. If you do find scholarly articles on Google, there's often a good chance it's behind a paywall and asks that you pay to access it. Google can also be incredibly overwhelming. You often get millions of results, and it's impossible to really comb through them to find good information. Library databases require a little bit of knowledge about your topic, which is why Google is often my first spot for background information. But the information you find through the library databases is going to be more credible. Everything has been published somewhere. You can control your searches to find a manageable set of results, and the library pays for access to materials for you. While you're a student at WSU, you should not pay for information. That's what the libraries are for. If we don't have something, we'll get it for you and it will not cost you anything. So let's start at the library's homepage, which is libraries.wsu.edu. And I want to point out that in order to get access to WSU library databases, you need to access them through our website. If you Google the title of a database, it won't recognize you as a WSU student, and you won't have access to a lot of information. But if you go through our website, it will see that you're a WSU student, and it will have you log in with your net ID and password, the same ones that you use to get into like Canvas or My WSU. So from the library's homepage, we'll click on the databases link underneath search it. And as you can see, we have access to tons of databases. You can narrow this long list by subject or database type. You can also search for the exact database that you want. The first 2 databases that we're looking at can actually be found under general topics. So I'm going to go ahead and narrow that down. Before we get into any of the databases, I want to talk a little bit about keywords. So in Google, you can type an entire sentence or question and still get millions of results. But in databases, this doesn't work as well, and you need to identify the keywords from your topic or research question. For this webinar, we're going to use the following research question. How does anxiety impact the grades of college students in the United States? Because we can't search for this entire sentence, we'll want to pick out the most important words. In this case, it would be anxiety, grades, college students, United States. These will be our keywords along with other similar words that we can swap out to change up our search and get more results, such as mental health, academic success or academic achievement, first-year college students, etc. So let's start in Gale and Context, Opposing Viewpoints. I'm just going to call it Opposing Viewpoints from now on because the full title is a little bit of a mouthful. So I'll click into this. And Opposing Viewpoints is a database that helps you explore large issues. This database can be really helpful to narrow down big topics into something more manageable. Within this database, you can find pro-con arguments, popular and scholarly articles, podcasts, statistics, and other types of sources. I like to suggest this database to students who have a basic idea of what they would like to research, but aren't really sure how to narrow down a topic. It's a really great starting point. So you can browse the topics within this database a couple different ways. They've got some featured topics here. And then down below, you can narrow down by subject area. So let's say that you wanted to look specifically at health and medicine. There are 104 topic pages that fall into this category. You can also browse all 470 issues, or you can do a keyword search, which works best for just like 1 or 2 keywords. So if I type anxiety and college students, it's going to take me to a list of resources, but I really think that the best way to use this source is those topic pages. So I'm going to go to this browse all 470 issues. And then these are all alphabetical. And as I'm scrolling through, you'll see there's a lot of them. I'm going to click on the mental health page. So on this page, there's kind of a general overview up at the top. And this is really good background information. It's also a really great place to find keywords. You can think of this like a credible Wikipedia page. I wouldn't necessarily use this as a source, but it can be really good to pull some main ideas or find some keywords for your topic. And then beneath that, you'll find some viewpoints. We've got featured viewpoints as well as just other viewpoints. And these can be really good to help you take a big topic and narrow it down so you can see what parts or what people are thinking about the issue, really. You can kind of see all of the different sides. There's also academic journals. We've got images and podcasts and news, magazines, statistics, different websites that you can go to. And then at the bottom of the page, there's also related topics that you could look at that are kind of similar to your topic. Let's click into one of these articles so we can see who published it, when it was published, what journal it was in. Looks like it's an article. And then we also have some database tools up at the top. You'll see these in a lot of other databases as well, but you can download something, you can email it to yourself, you can print it. You can also, let's see where it is. Oh, up here, you can cite it. And this gives you kind of a starting point citation. These are not always correct. So what you want to do is double check it, but it's a really good starting point. So you don't have to, craft your own citation every single time. All right, so this was most of opposing viewpoints. I would really recommend looking over that long list of topics. It can be a really great starting point. So the next database that I want to look at is Academic Search Complete. And I'm just going to go ahead and search for this one. An Academic Search Complete is a multi-subject database, meaning that it searches journal articles, magazine and newspaper articles, and more from all different kinds of subjects at the same time. And it can be another great place to start your research. So this database defaults to the advanced search screen, which allows you to type or search for more than one term at a time with multiple search boxes. Rather than typing entire sentences into these search boxes, you'll want to use those keywords that we came up with earlier. And these search boxes are connected with the word and, but they can be changed to or not. And there are several ways that you can really control your search and build really good searches. So the and in between those keyword boxes includes both terms in your search results. So you're looking for this term and this term. The word not excludes words from your search results. So, it's telling the search engine, do not include this word or phrase, or will include one keyword or the other. And this can be really good for synonyms. Quotation marks around a phrase will search for that exact phrase in that order. So just like you would use quotation marks to go around a quote in your paper for exactly what somebody said, it works the same in your search. And then asterisks or quotation marks is kind of a way to look for multiple words at a time. So the asterisk matches multiple characters. So the COMPUT asterisk will include keywords like computer or computing or computation. It's looking for that root word with any ending. The question mark matches one character. So the NE question mark T will use any one character in place of that question mark, like neat, nest, next. And then parentheses, you can kind of think of this like order of operations. It groups parts of your search together and separates parts of your search from other parts. And this will make a little bit more sense when we build a search, but this can be kind of complicated. Librarians can really help you build great searches, and it takes a little while to get used to it. So in the database, let's try searching for, let's do college students and anxiety and academic performance or academic achievement. So I'm using that or, and I'm telling the search engine that I want college students and anxiety and either one of these words. And I'm putting these words together in the parentheses to kind of separate it from the rest of the search. Over on the right, you can choose where you want these keywords searched. So the default is select a field. That's just going to search kind of everywhere. But you can narrow it down to search in the title or by author, publication, journal name, anything. So I'm going to go ahead and do a search. We could mark some of these search options to begin with, but I like to kind of do a broad search and then narrow it down from there. All right, so we've got 772 results. Over on the right side, we see that this is showing us the newest results first, but you can change this to relevance or date oldest. It can also be alphabetical by title. But I think relevance can be a really helpful way to look at it. If you wanted to see what the newest things that have been published are, you can change that to date newest or keep it on there. And then over on the left side, you can refine these results further. So you could limit to full text, although I don't recommend limiting to full text unless you need something immediately. Sometimes if you're doing research at 5 p.m. and your paper is due at midnight, you'll need to limit to full text. But if you don't check that box, then you'll be able to use this Find It at WSU Libraries link. And this search is Search It. And it's possible that other databases have access to the full text. So if you limit to full text, it will get rid of those and get rid of some full text options that are just in other databases. You can also limit to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. You could limit to publication date. So maybe we want to look for just things in the last 10 years. You can limit to source type. And as you can see, we've got academic journals, magazines, newspapers. And then there are some other things you can look at as well. You can also limit to language, several other things. If we are looking over kind of a particular result, you'll see the title, the authors, where and when it was published. So this one was published in the Journal of Rehabilitation Research and Development in 2015. You'll also be able to see the subject terms, and these can be really helpful in understanding what the article or source is about. So these kind of work like hashtags within the database. They describe what the source is about. And when we go into the record, you can also click on the term to search for other sources that are also tagged with that term. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this first one. This takes us into the full text. So we've got the full PDF text here. We've got some database tools over on the right. So Similarly, we've got the cite button. You have an option to email it to yourself. You can also download or print from the PDF screen. But if I click over onto detailed record, I can learn a little bit more about this source. So we've got the similar things we saw earlier: title, authors, where it was published, and then we've got these subject terms. And if I were to click on one of these, it would show me all of the other results that are also tagged with that term. But it can also be a really great place to find keywords. So as we're looking at this, let's see. This is talking about post-traumatic stress disorder, student assistance programs, student attitudes, non-traditional college students. So maybe those are things that we would want to focus on. Those are keywords that we could pull out and use in our search. And then down at the bottom, we also have this abstract. And this can be really helpful because it's basically a summary. Scholarly articles can be pretty long, so abstracts can be really helpful because it's a single paragraph and it's going to tell you what the article is about. So you should read that before you actually dig into the article. That will at least tell you whether it's going to be relevant or not. So this one had the full text. Let's see if we can find one without full text. So these ones have the PDF full text right there. These ones do not. Let me try clicking on one of these find it buttons and see if we can see what that looks like. All right, so it looks like this one does not have full text, but what we can do is click on request article and then log into Iliad, which is our interlibrary loan system. So you log in with your NetID and password, and then it fills out all of the information for this article. All I have to do is hit submit request, and then that's going to go through and a librarian can get this full text for me. Let's see if we can find one that has it available in another database. Here we go. So this one is available in Elsevier Science Direct journals. I can click on this and the full text is not available in Academic Search Complete, but it's available through another database. I can access it right here. So again, these will not show up if you click on full text. We'll be missing out on those. So it kind of depends on your research timeline and how much time you have. All right, and I will also mention that interlibrary loans for articles usually come in within about 24 to 48 hours. So it might take 1 to 2 business days to get it, but you'll just get an email when it's available, and you'll be able to access the PDF through your email. All right, so that was Academic Search Complete. Let me exit out of here. And the next one that I want to talk about is JSTOR. So JSTOR is a multi-subject database that primarily has resources from the humanities and social sciences, and you can find journals, books, reports, and more. So this, again, defaults to the advanced search page. So let's try doing college students and anxiety and academic performance. So we've got those in there. Again, we've got those and or not. This also can connect keywords and say, I want them to be within 5 words of each other or within 25 words of each other. And then we can search within different fields. If we scroll down, we've got all of these different narrow results options. This one, JSTOR is a little different because you can narrow it by journal subjects. So if you are doing research in a history class, you can narrow it down to just history. There's also different types of history as well. But I'm going to go ahead and submit advanced search, and let's see what we get. Nothing. All right, let's try academic achievement. 15,000 results. I think that first search just had an error. So this is giving us a lot more results than we initially got in like the 700 range from Academic Search Complete. And we'll see that this search string up here is utilizing those parentheses that we talked about. Over on the left-hand side, we've also got a bunch of refined results options. So we can search within these results. We can narrow by content, by date, and then we can narrow by subject. So let's say that we wanted to focus specifically on education. So this takes us from 15,000. I'm not sure why that's happening. Sometimes databases get a little buggy. All right, well, we'll just stick with this for now. We can also narrow by all content or content I can access. So content I can access is basically just the full text version. So if we switch to all content, it's going to add 5,000 results to here. And then if we can see which ones have full text by the way we can either select download PDF or not. So here, this one has full text, this one does not. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And we see that we've got the title, where it was published, when it was published, who the authors are. And then we can access the full text right here. We've got the abstract over on the left-hand side. And then similar to the other databases, we have some tools up here so we can download the PDF. We can save this. We can also get the citation over here. Let me go back. And again, you can sort this by newest. So we're getting those new things up first. Let me try clicking on this first one. So we don't have the find it at WSU button like it looks like in other databases, but we don't have access to this on JSTOR. So if we click on find it at WSU, it's going to do the search and search it, and then we'll see if we can access it from there. And it looks like we do not have this, but you can request it through interlibrary loan very easily. So this was a very quick demonstration of JSTOR. I feel like these are all getting faster as we go through because a lot of the databases have similarities that don't need as much explanation the more that we do. So the next one that I want to go into is PsycInfo. And this is a psychology database, meaning that it searches resources in the field of psychology. So again, we're defaulting to the advanced search screen. Next to the search boxes, you can limit to what field you want your keyword searched in. Again, we've got those and or nots connecting it. Let's try doing a search for, let's just say students, and let's try mental health. And we'll put that in quotation marks because we want mental health exactly and nothing involving just health or the word mental. And then let's do academic achievement. So again, we can limit from this page, and PsycInfo is a little different because we can limit to things like methodology or age group or audience because it's in, or the population, because it's a psychology database, and those things are often things that you would be looking for if you're doing research in psychology. So I'm going to go ahead and hit search, and we have about 2,000 results. Again, we can narrow these results. We can sort it in different ways. We can limit to peer reviewed, by source type, publication date. We've got this little slider, all types of things. We can look and see what types of methodologies are in here. It looks like it's mostly empirical studies, some quantitative studies. You can narrow it down from there. Let's see. So let's go ahead and click on one of them. We'll do this first one. So this goes straight to the abstract and the details. We've got those subject terms that we talked about. We can look and see the population, age, methodology, all of that stuff right here. We've got some related items on the right. And then if we wanted to look at the full text, we could click on preview PDF. And then we've got the PDF full text right here. Let me go over here. You can download it, cite it, email, all of those database tools that we're seeing in other places. And again, if we don't have the PDF, we've got this Find It at WSU button, and that will take us into Search It, and we'll be able to see if we have the full text somewhere else. So the very last database that I want to talk about is Web of Science. So Web of Science is a multidisciplinary database that covers, you guessed it, science, and then arts and humanities and social sciences. Let's try this again. All right, I'm not sure why this is happening. It was working about 30 minutes ago. Let's try accessing it through the database. So I'm going to search for Web of Science, and we want to find the result that has database, not books about Web of Science, but the actual database. Let's try accessing it through here. There we go. Looks like that worked. I'm not sure why, but that's great. So again, it's a multidisciplinary database. We've got this search box. It's pulling my search from earlier that I was doing about 45 minutes ago, so that's helpful. So again, we have our keywords connected in search boxes. We can change where it's searching for these keywords. Got the and or not. You can add rows or subtract rows. You can add date ranges. And believe it or not, this is actually not the advanced search. The advanced search is a little more complicated than other databases. So I would actually recommend that you probably just use the basic search, unless you get really, really good at using Web of Science and have a lot of practice at it. But this is definitely enough to find you some sources. So I'm going to go ahead and hit search. And we got 500 results. You can copy the search link. So if you wanted to send somebody a search and have them look at the results that you found, you can do that. We've got these refined results again. This one has some different categories. So you can look and see what papers have been highly cited over the past, or out of all of these results, you can see which ones have been cited the most. And then this also has this hot papers filter. Looks like there's only one in this category, but hot papers have been cited enough in the past 2 years to place it in the top 0.1% in the field. So you can see like which paper is the paper that people cite on this topic. You can also narrow it down by publication years, document types, Web of Science categories. So you can look and see, let's say you wanted to focus specifically on psychology educational or psychology social, you can limit it by that. So let's take a look at a source. I'm going to click on this first one. They've got a lot of helpful pop-ups that kind of walk you through the pages, which can be really great if you're using it for the first time. So we can see the title, the authors, where it was published, when it was published. And then over on the right, Web of Science has some interesting features that can be really helpful in kind of seeing the entire discussion around a research topic or a paper. So you can see this has, okay, this has 47 references, and you can look at all of the references that they use in their reference list. And then it will also show you who has cited this source since it's been published. So this has been cited 0 times, but I'll show an example of one that has been cited. Show some related articles, and then shows the citations or the references down at the bottom as well. So I'm going to go back and let's do this one. This one has 26 citations. So these are 26 sources that have cited that original source that we found. And this can just be helpful because this was published in 2014. So if you want to see kind of what people have been saying or writing about since 2014 when this was published, this is a great way to do it. So it's time to read the full text. We can click full text at publisher. And then this should take us to a full text page where we can read the entire thing. And again, we've got that find it at WSU button. So if something is not in here with full text, then we can look at it that way. And the last thing that I wanted to point out about this database, which is kind of unique, is this analyze results button. So if we click on this, it's going to take those 500 results that we got, and it looks like 141 of them fall into educational research, 21 fall into psychology clinical. So it's just kind of a way to see what subjects are represented in that search. And you can kind of play around with this and do, different visualizations, different results numbers. It's just kind of a way to analyze your results and learn a little bit more about it. You can also create an alert. So if you have a very specific search string or topic, and you want to be alerted when more information is added, or you would get more results from the search string, you can create an alert and you'll be notified when new information research is published and available within this database based on your search. You can also click on citation report and just kind of look and see more information about this search string. So a lot of the search or a lot of the information was published in 2020. A lot of it was cited in 2020. It's really been kind of a trending topic. So there are some interesting things in Web of Science that aren't available in other databases. And the very last thing that I wanted to point out was our Ask Us page. So I talked about some databases today, but databases can be kind of complicated. We have over 700 databases, and it can be kind of difficult to know which ones are going to be the most helpful or how to use them all. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out and ask. You can email me specifically, or you can, and I'm going to put my email in the chat. It was also at the beginning of the webinar on that opening slide. I can pull that up. It's jennifer.saulnier@wsu.edu. And we also have several other ways to reach out. You can use our 24/7 live chat and ask questions at any time. You can email us for research help, or you can even text us, tweet us. We can help that way. You can make an appointment with somebody. There are plenty of ways to get help, and research can be kind of daunting, so please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. And that's all I had. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And are there any questions? All right, so somebody asked, how long does a loan take if the material isn't available? And that's a good question. So if it is an article, you will get a link to the PDF within usually 24 to 48 hours. But if it's a physical book or physical item, that obviously has a lot longer return time, because if you're getting it from a WSU library, So if you're getting it from a Pullman library, then we can send it directly to you from the library, but it obviously has to go through the mail, which takes a little bit longer. If you are requesting a book from another library, it has to come to the Pullman library first, and then we send it to you from there. So it takes a little bit more time because it's going through different places and it has to be mailed twice. But you can usually expect to get it, 5 to 10 plus days. It just kind of depends.